Types of research. Basic research versus applied research. Basic research focuses on the advancement of knowledge, rather than solving a problem, whereas applied research directs the efforts toward finding a solution to a specific problem. In applied research, researchers often work to help a client and are driven by clients' desires. Basic research refers to the study that is aimed at expanding the existing base of scientific knowledge, whereas applied research is the research that is designed to solve specific practical problem or answer certain questions. The nature of basic research is narrow, whereas the nature of applied research is practical. The utility of basic research is universal, whereas the utility of applied research is limited. The basic research is concerned with developing scientific knowledge and predictions, whereas the applied research is concerned with development of technology and technique. The goal of basic research is to add some knowledge to existing one, whereas the goal of applied research is to find out solution for the problem at hand. The basic research focused on the new information and knowledge of already existing concepts is developed by the basic research methodology, whereas applied research focused on when new industry-specific techniques or procedures are developed to solve commercial problems, then applied research is adopted. The aim of basic research is to extend the prevailing source of evidence about different sources and objectives, whereas the aim of applied research is to develop new technique and technologies for solving various industrial problems. Quantitative research versus qualitative research. Definition 1 of quantitative research deals with number and statistics, while qualitative research deals with words and meanings. Definition 2 of quantitative research is used to generate numerical data and facts by employing statistical, logical and mathematical technique, while qualitative research is a method of inquiry that develops understanding on human and social sciences to find the way people think and feel. Quantitative research focuses on testing theories and hypotheses, while qualitative research focuses on exploring idea and formulating a theory or hypothesis. Type of questions in quantitative research is closed, multiple choice questions, while type of questions in qualitative research is open-ended questions. Quantitative research engaged in testing, measurement, objectivity and replicability, while qualitative research engaged in understanding, context, complexity and subjectivity. In quantitative research, quantitative data is used which is more structured than qualitative data, while qualitative research, qualitative data is used which is less structured than quantitative data. Data collection methods of quantitative research includes many forms of surveys: online surveys, paper surveys, mobile surveys and kiosk survey, face-to-face interviews, telephone interviews, online polls, observations and questionnaires, while data collection methods of qualitative research includes unstructured or semi-structured techniques which include focus groups, group discussion, individual or in-depth interviews, group discussions, etc. The nature of quantitative research is particularistic, while nature of qualitative research is holistic. The approach of quantitative research is objective, the approach of qualitative research is subjective. Research type of quantitative research is conclusive, while research type of qualitative research is exploratory. The reasoning of quantitative research is deductive, while reasoning of qualitative research is inductive. Hypotheses are tested in quantitative research, while hypotheses are generalized in qualitative research. Data in quantitative research is measurable, while data in qualitative research is verbal. Inquiry in quantitative research is result-oriented, while inquiry in qualitative research is process-oriented. Sampling technique in quantitative research is random, while sampling technique in qualitative research is purposive. The objective of quantitative research is to examine cause and effect relationship between variables, while the objective of qualitative research is to explore and discover ideas used in the ongoing processes. Results of quantitative research recommends final course of action, while results of qualitative research develops initial understanding. Elements of analysis of quantitative research is numerical data, while elements of analysis of qualitative research are words, pictures, and objects. Sample size of quantitative research, in which frequency fewer than 100 responses, while in survey, hundreds or thousands sample size are used in qualitative research. In example 1, the impact of liquidity on profitability of some selected companies. The financial statement analysis, FSA approach, written by Ayedu 2014, used quantitative research in his study, while HRM in relation to employee motivation and job performance in the hospitality industry. International Business Conference, IBC, written by Du Plessis et al. 2015, used qualitative research in their study. In example 2, the effect of risk, R&D intensity, liquidity, and inventory on firm performance during COVID-19. Evidence from U.S. manufacturing industry, written by Clampitt et al. 2021, used quantitative research in their study. While motivational factors influencing teachers' job performance in preschool centers in Kenya, written by Awala et al. 2016, used qualitative research in their study. In example 3, the effect of dividend policy, liquidity, profitability and firm size on firm value in financial service sector industries listed in Indonesia Stock Exchange 2015 to 2018. Period, written by Sondak 2019, used quantitative research in his study, while a qualitative exploration of day spa therapists' work motivations and job satisfaction, written by Sutikan et al. 2018, used qualitative research in their study. Quantitative research versus qualitative research versus mixed research. Quantitative research is used to generate numerical data and facts by employing statistical, logical, and mathematical technique. Whereas qualitative research is a method of inquiry that develops understanding on human and social sciences to find the way people think and feel. Whereas mixed research combines ideas and approaches from quantitative and qualitative research. Research objectives of quantitative research are many, such as explain cause and effect, control, predict, and description of features of populations. Whereas research objectives of qualitative research are many, such as explore, particular description, depth of understanding, social construction of reality. Whereas research objectives of mixed research are a combination of research objectives regarding. Research purpose of quantitative research is to find general and complex laws of thought and behavior. Whereas research purpose of qualitative research is to describe and understand particular groups and individuals in particular context. Whereas research purpose of mixed research is to integrate the general and particular. Scientific emphasis of quantitative research is based on confirmation, falsification, and focuses on testing hypotheses and theories. Whereas scientific emphasis of qualitative research is based on exploratory and focuses on generating hypotheses and theories. Whereas scientific emphasis of mixed research is based on equal emphasis and combines hypothesis and theory generation and testing. Views of the world of quantitative research are based on mental process and behavior are regular and predictable. Whereas views of the world of qualitative research are based on mental processes and behavior are situation, dynamic, social, contextual and personal. Whereas, views of the world of mixed research are based on thought and behavior, contain predictable and particularistic and contextual elements. In quantitative research, researchers collect numerical data, such as frequencies or scores, to focus on cause and effect relationships among variables. Whereas, in qualitative research, researchers collect non-numerical information, such as descriptions of behavioral phenomena, how people experience or interpret events, and answers to participants' open-ended responses. Whereas, in mixed research, researchers collect both numerical and non-numerical data by carefully considering the order in which the data types will be collected and the selection criteria for participants in the various parts of the study. Primary view of reality of quantitative research is objective, that is material, physical and causal, whereas primary view of reality of qualitative research is subjective, whereas primary view of reality of mixed research is combination of objective, subjective and intersubjective. In quantitative research, quantitatively measured variables, numbers, are used. Whereas, in qualitative research, words, text, images and documents are used. Whereas, in mixed research, all data types are suitable. Quantitative and qualitative data are used in a single study. Results of quantitative research are based on generalizable findings. Whereas, results of qualitative research are based on particularistic findings and claims. Whereas, results of mixed research are based on attempts to integrate general and particular findings and produce practical theory. Final report of quantitative research is based on statistical results with significance testing of correlations, differences between means with discussion of results. Whereas, final report of qualitative research is based on narrative with rich contextual description and many direct quotations. Whereas, final report of mixed research is based on mixture of statistical and qualitative data reporting. Descriptive research versus correlational research. Descriptive research method primarily focuses on describing the nature of a demographic segment, without focusing on why a particular phenomenon occurs, while correlational research is a type of non-experimental and research method in which a researcher measures two variables and understands and assesses statistical link between them with no influence from any extraneous variable. Descriptive research is used to uncover new facts and meaning of a research, while correlational research is carried out to measure two variables. Descriptive research is analytical in nature, where in-depth studies help to collect information during research, while correlational research is mathematical in nature. It uses correlation coefficient to statistically measure the relation between two variables. The aim of descriptive research provides a knowledge base for carrying out other quantitative research, while the aim of correlational research is used to explore the extent to which two variables in a study are related. The synonyms of descriptive research is hypothesis-generating research and descriptive study, while the synonyms of correlational research is correlational study. Descriptive research done to obtain information on the most widely used employee motivation tools in the hospitality industry, while correlational research done to know if cancer and marriage have any relation or not. Deductive research versus inductive research. In deductive research, a researcher studies others have done, reads existing theories of whatever phenomenon they are studying, and then test hypotheses that emerge from those theories. Whereas in inductive research, a researcher starts with a set of observation and then move from particular experience to a more general set of propositions about those experiences. The aim of deductive research is that it aims at testing an existing theory, whereas the aim of inductive research is that it aims at developing a theory. Deductive research moves from general to specific, whereas inductive research moves from specific observations to broad generalization. The approach in deductive research is top-down approach, whereas the approach in inductive research is bottom-up approach. The nature of deductive research is that it is more narrow in nature and is concerned with testing of confirming hypotheses, whereas the nature of inductive research is that it is more open-ended and exploratory, especially at the beginning. The process of deductive research is that it begins with a theory, developing hypotheses from that theory and then collecting and analyzing data to test those hypotheses, whereas the process of inductive research is that it begins with a set of empirical observations seeking patterns in those observations, and then theorizing about those patterns. The link of deductive research is from data to theory, whereas the link of inductive research is from human attachment to event. The data used in deductive research is quantitative data, whereas the data used in inductive research is qualitative data. Deductive research explains causal linkage between variables, whereas inductive research can understand research context closely. Explanatory research versus exploratory research. Explanatory research is defined as a research method that explores why something occurs when limited information is available, whereas exploratory research is defined as a research used to investigate a problem which is not clearly defined. Aim of explanatory research is to explain how events happened by comprising data based on cause-effect relationships, whereas aim of exploratory research is to define questions and hypotheses for a subsequent study or to determine the feasibility of desired research procedure. While questions of explanatory research and exploratory research are started with how and why, nature of explanatory research is instrumental, whereas nature of exploratory research is intrinsic. Research approach used in explanatory research is highly structured, whereas research approach used in exploratory research is unstructured. Research conducted through using research hypothesis in explanatory research, whereas research conducted through asking research questions in exploratory research. Explanatory research are conducted in later stages of decision-making, whereas exploratory research is conducted in early stages of decision-making. Number of cases in explanatory research is collective, whereas number of cases in exploratory research are single. Units of analysis in explanatory research are subunits or holistic unit of analysis, whereas units of analysis in exploratory research is holistic unit of analysis. Search for explanatory theories in explanatory research, whereas search for causal theories in exploratory research. Research issues in explanatory research are focus on how and why do research findings get into practical use, whereas research issues in exploratory research are broad design determined well ahead. Focus on actual behavioral events rather than events. Common approach of explanatory research is aimed at presenting a causal linkage and explaining which causes produced which effects, whereas common approach of exploratory research is field work is done prior to the definition of research problem and aimed at defining the issues of subsequent study. Degree of problem definition in explanatory research are key variables and key relationships are defined, whereas degree of problem definition in exploratory research are key variables not defined. Example of case studies in explanatory research are used by Alango, 2008 and Saror et al., 2009, whereas example of case studies in exploratory research are used by Miemczyk, 2008, Peck, 2005 and Suring, 2003. Possible situations in explanatory research are: which of two training programs is more effective for reducing labor's turnover? Can I predict the value of energy stocks if I know the current dividends and growth rates of dividends? Do buyers prefer our product in a new package? Whereas, possible situations in exploratory research are, quality of services are declining and we don't know why. Would people be interested in our new product idea? How important is business process re-engineering as a strategy? While action research versus traditional research. Action research is a research method that aims to simultaneously investigate and solve an issue. In other words, as its name suggests, action research conducts research and takes action at the same time. Whereas traditional research is a means to an end, the conclusion. In other words, traditional research starts with a theory. Statistical analysis is critical and the researcher does not insert herself into the research. The purpose of action research is to make decisions, solve practical problem and improve practice. Whereas the purpose of traditional research is to focus on developing new knowledge in the field and insights may be generalized to other settings. Research question. The research questions of action research is to make decisions. Focus is on the improvement of educational practice and limited generalizability. Whereas the research questions of traditional research are questions driven from other literature. Data analysis methods of action research focus on practical, not statistical significance. Whereas data analysis methods of traditional research are rigorous statistical analysis. Sampling of action research are convenient sample and purposive samples such as students with whom they work. Whereas sampling of traditional research are random or representative is common. Scholars and theorists are involved in action research, whereas education practitioners such as teachers, counselors, administrators, etc. are involved in traditional research. Significance of action research is practical, whereas significance of traditional research is statistical. The context of action research is reactive, derived from surroundings and usually not theoretical in nature, whereas the context of traditional research is derived from theory and focused on crafting strong hypotheses and seeking causal relationships between variables. Action research usually led by practitioners, whereas traditional research usually led by outside expert. Action research focus on the improvement of educational practice and limited generalizability, whereas traditional research focus on developing conclusions and predicting results based on testing theories in a laboratory settings. Action research is conducted by the educationist, teachers and head of the institutions, whereas traditional research is conducted by university professors and scholars. Action research is used in schools and classrooms, whereas traditional research is used in an environment where variables can be controlled. Action research using less control-led procedures to understand the effects of some educational intervention. Changes are made during the study, whereas traditional research using rigorous research design to show a cause-effect relationship. Major attention is given to reducing error and bias. Action research aim is to obtain knowledge that can be applied directly to the local classroom situation and to give the participating teachers in-service training. Whereas traditional research aim is to obtain knowledge that is generalizable and to develop and test educational theories. Descriptive research versus analytical research. Descriptive research describe the program, community and organization, whereas analytical research is the evaluation of the analysis done by using the data or facts. The structure of descriptive research is formal, whereas the structure of analytical research is informal. The research questions in descriptive research are starting from when, where and who, whereas the research questions in analytical research is starting from why. The descriptive research focus on findings details to determine the nature of something as it present in the study, whereas the analytical research focus on finding the reason for the nature of something as it present in the study. Descriptive research is less time-consuming, whereas analytical research is more time-consuming. The applicability of descriptive research is based on using by describing the demographic segments, that is, gender, occupation, nationality, etc., whereas the applicability of analytical research is based on a better understanding of a group's shared culture, conventions, and social dynamics. The methodology of descriptive research are surveys and studies, whereas the methodology of analytical research are statistical tools and techniques. The findings of descriptive research is to know the trends and comparative analysis, whereas the findings of analytical research is to find or discover the missing link, such as cause and effect relationships. Comparative research versus evaluation research. Comparative research is a research methodology in the social sciences exemplified in cross-cultural or comparative studies, whereas evaluation research, also called as program evaluation, is the systematic assessment of the worth or merit of time, money, effort, and resources spent in order to achieve a goal. Comparative research is the act of comparing two or more things with a view to discovering something about one or all of the things being compared. This technique often utilizes multiple disciplines in one study. When it comes to method, the majority agreement is that there is no methodology peculiar to comparative research, whereas evaluation research is a form of disciplined and systematic inquiry that is carried out to arrive at an assessment or appraisal of an object, program, practice, activity, or system with the purpose of providing information that will be of use in decision-making. The aim of comparative research is to make comparisons across different states or cultures, whereas the aim of evaluative research is to measure whether the existing project, program, or product has achieved its intended objectives. The process of comparative research is based on making judgments about the merits, values, or worth of any component of education, whereas the process of evaluation research, consisting of data analysis and reporting, is a rigorous, systematic process that involves collecting data about organizations, processes, projects, services, and resources. Comparative research helps in comparing and contrasting different societies, cultures, or groups to identify similarities and differences, whereas evaluation research helps in market research. Comparative research can both qualitative and quantitative research, and often, there is a trade-off. The more cases to compare, the less comparable variables available, and vice versa. The comparative method is often applied when looking for patterns of similarities and differences, explaining continuity and change, whereas evaluation research is a type of applied research, and so it is intended to have some real-world effect. Many methods like surveys and experiments can be used to do evaluation research. Comparative research in the health sciences helps finding solutions and making decisions that will improve the health-related issues, whereas evaluation research improves knowledge and decision-making and leads to practical applications. Evaluation research also continue to improve user experience by gathering meaningful feedback. Comparative research methods have long been used in cross-cultural studies to identify, analyze, and explain similarities and differences across societies, whereas evaluative research uses quantitative and/or qualitative research methods to collect customer feedback on aspects such as usability, accessibility, desirability, etc., to improve the product and ensure that the solution meets the user's needs. Scientific research versus non-scientific research. Scientific research is defined as the research that obtains data with the help of scientific methods and strategies, whereas non-scientific research is the research conducted without the help of any scientific methods and/or scientific basis. Scientific research can be repeated a number of times by making use of the same methods and data, whereas non-scientific research cannot be repeated since it makes use of intuition, personal experience, and personal beliefs. In scientific research, data is collected using multiple techniques like observation, formulation, and testing of hypotheses, whereas in non-scientific research, data is collected only on the basis of observation. Scientific research follows a logical and systematic process in arriving at a conclusion, whereas non-scientific research does not follow any logical, scientific, or systematic method. General approach in scientific research is empirical, whereas general approach in non-scientific research is intuitive. Reporting in scientific research is objective and unbiased, whereas reporting in non-scientific research is subjective and biased. Hypothesis in scientific research is testable, whereas hypothesis in non-scientific research is untestable. Observation in scientific research is systematic, whereas observation in non-scientific research is causal and uncorrelated. Concept in scientific research is clear definitions, whereas concept in non-scientific research is ambiguous. Instruments in scientific research is accurate and precise, whereas instruments in non-scientific research is inaccurate and imprecise. Measurements in scientific research is valid and reliable, whereas measurements in scientific research is non-valid and reliable. Attitude in scientific research is critical and skeptical, whereas attitude in non-scientific research is uncritical and accepting. In short, scientific research is based on observable, measurable, and predictable events, whereas non-scientific research is based on myth, legends, unobserved, and used as explanations when scientific knowledge is lacking. Action research versus case study. Action research is a type of research study which is more action-oriented in order to solve an immediate problem, whereas case study is an in-depth examination of a particular event or individual or a group of individuals. Action research defines context and purpose, whereas case study defines the theoretical and conceptual structure. Action research involves in solving a problem, whereas case study involves in observing a problem. The purpose of action research is to solve a problem or informing individual and community-based knowledge in a way that impacts teaching, learning, and other related processes, whereas the purpose of a case study is to learn as much as possible about an individual or group so that the information can be generalized to many others. Action research used in educational field, whereas case study is used in many fields. Action research always provides a solution to a problem, whereas case study does not provide solution to a problem. Action research identify a problem to research, whereas case study mainly identifying and defining the research questions. In action research, the researchers can also act as participants of the research, whereas in case study research, researchers do not participate in the research study. Action research identifies the cause and then addresses the issues, whereas case study explores and understands complex issues. Action research analyzes data and plan actions, whereas case study research analyzes data. Action research is a research method that aims to simultaneously investigate and solve an issue, also conducts research and takes action at the same time. Whereas case studies can provide more insights into your business while helping you conduct further research with robust qualitative data analysis to learn more. Experimental research is a method of gathering information and data on a subject through observation in controlled settings, and also understanding the benefits of experimental research design can help you better use it in your professional career. Whereas non-experimental studies provide valuable information and offer unique insights into a research question or phenomenon, experimental research uses the scientific method to find preferable ways of accomplishing a task for providing a service. Whereas non-experimental research used to analyze events that have happened in the past. The versatility of the model can be used to observe many unique phenomena. In experimental research, the researcher has complete control over the independent variable and can manipulate it to test the hypothesis. Whereas in non-experimental research, the researcher does not have this level of control and must rely on observations and measurements of naturally occurring variables. Experimental research is generally conducted in laboratories, whereas non-experimental research is not conducted in laboratories. The purpose of experimental research is to find out which marketing activity will have the most positive impact on the business. Whereas the purpose of non-experimental research is to define the characteristics of a particular subject, measure data trends, compare and contrast situations, and validate existing conditions. An experimental research design helps researchers execute their research objectives with more clarity and transparency. Whereas the non-experimental design can study and examine questions experimental researchers cannot. Non-experimental research designs answer research questions in which a variable was not manipulated. Example of experimental research is laboratory blood tests to determine the causes of a patient's health condition. In these tests, the results obtained from the patient's samples are compared with constant variables, which indicate the range of normal values. Experimental is a type of quantitative research. Whereas non-experimental studies establishing that there is a relationship between watching violent television and aggressive behavior have been complemented by experimental studies confirming that the relationship is a causal one. In short, the main aim of experimental research is to draw a cause and effect relationship between the variables. Whereas, the aim of non-experimental research is that it lacks the manipulation of an independent variable because non-experimental research simply measure variables as they naturally occur, in the lab or real world. Conceptual research versus empirical research. Conceptual research focuses on the concept or theory that explains or describes the phenomenon being studied by analyzing data and theories without conducting empirical tests focusing on unique concepts or thoughts. Whereas, empirical research gathered information from real experiences and observed phenomena, relaying an actual involvement rather than speculation or beliefs. Conceptual research is the development of new concepts with some exiting ones. Whereas empirical research is the validation and verification developed concepts. The purpose of conceptual research is based on concept or theory that explains or describes phenomenon. Whereas the purpose of empirical research is based on experiments and analyzing the collected information on a given topic. Conceptual research involves abstract ideas and concepts, whereas empirical research involves research based on observation, experiments, and verifiable evidence. The relevance of conceptual research is based on expansion of new theories, whereas the relevance of empirical research is based on validation and verification of data. Conceptual research saves time, whereas empirical research consumes time. The process of research in conceptual research is flexible and adaptable to changes, whereas the process of research in empirical research is inflexible and rigid structure. Conceptual research doesn't require any practical experiments, whereas the practical experiments in empirical research is required. Generalization may or may not be possible in conceptual research, whereas generalization and predication are possible in empirical research. Conceptual research is similar to basic research, whereas empirical research is similar to basic research. Philosophical research studies are example of conceptual research, whereas empirical research includes both quantitative and qualitative studies. In short, in conceptual research is a type of research that is generally related to abstract ideas or concepts, by developing new concepts or to reinterpret the existing one. Whereas empirical research is a type of research in which conclusions of the study are drawn from evidence verifiable by observation or experience rather than theory or pure logic. Furthermore, empirical research is suitable when proof is sought that certain variables affect other variables in some way. Comparative research versus empirical research. Comparative research is a research methodology in the social sciences exemplified in cross-cultural or comparative studies that aims to make comparisons across different countries or cultures. Whereas, empirical research gathered information from real experiences and observed phenomena, relaying and actual involvement rather than speculation or beliefs. Comparative research is the act of comparing two or more things with a view to discovering something about one or all of the things being compared. Whereas, empirical research is the validation and verification of developed concepts. The purpose of comparative research is to identify and contrast commonalities and differences between two or more units of analysis, for example, countries. Whereas, the purpose of empirical research is based on experiments and analyzing the collected information on a given topic. Comparative research involves in the usage of comparison to develop fundamental theories with significant generality and relevance, goes to further to provide theories which. Whereas, empirical research involves research based on observation, experiments and verifiable evidence. The relevance of comparative research is based on providing fodder and direction for initial design concepts by informing projects at early stages, and in the midst of design iterations when refining content, interaction, and general architectural patterns. Whereas, the relevance of empirical research is based on validation and verification of data. Comparative research is the process of comparing two and other variables while the results are written in a comparative research document. Whereas, the process of research in empirical research is inflexible and rigid structure. Example of comparative research: a business owner reviews new hire training documentation and discovers that new employees receive much of the same information at orientation and in their initial departmental training. The owner incorporates materials into one session to allow more time for department-specific training. Whereas, example of empirical research includes both quantitative and qualitative studies. In short, comparative research identifies similarities and differences between two individuals, subjects or groups. Whereas, empirical research is a type of research in which conclusions of the study are drawn from evidence verifiable by observation or experience rather than theory or pure logic. Furthermore, empirical research is suitable when proof is sought that certain variables affect other variables in some way. Historical research versus analytical research. Historical research is the process of investigating and studying past events, people, and societies using a variety of sources and methods. Whereas, analytical research is the evaluation of the analysis done by using the data or facts. The purpose of historical research is to gain a clear understanding of the impact of the past on the present and future events related to life process. Whereas, the purpose of analytical research is to find a solution for an immediate problem facing a society or an industrial or business organization. The study of historical events can help leaders make informed decisions that impact society, culture, and the economy. Whereas, analytical research helps us to collect, compose, and analyze data on the subject matter. Historical research involves in detailed analysis of what has been written or done and is used to describe, explain, and interpret these events. Whereas, analytical research involves in using facts or information already available, and analyze these to make a critical evaluation of material. Historical research focuses on describing events, people, or cultures in detail. Whereas, analytical research focuses on finding the reason for the nature of something as it present in the study. In any field, where the study involves its origins, growth, development, impact, use, theories, personalities, crisis, etc., the historical research method is found to be applicable. Whereas, the applicability of analytical research is based on a better understanding of a group's shared culture, conventions, and social dynamics. The findings of historical research is to find the origins, growth, development, impact, use, theories, personalities, crisis, etc., which happened in past. Whereas, the findings of analytical research is to find or discover the missing link such as cause and effect relationships. Fixed research versus flexible research. Fixed research involves procedures determined ahead of time, and how often testing will take place, where it will take place, the number of subjects and their types. Whereas, flexible research allows procedures to change throughout the course of the experiment. The purpose of fixed research is to measure quantitatively and driven by theory. Whereas, the purpose of flexible research is to measure qualitatively and have more freedom of data collection. The nature of fixed research is quantitative, whereas, the nature of flexible research is qualitative. Fixed research depends on precise conditions and compliance with fixed protocols to reduce variables. Whereas, flexible research depends on fixed parameters. Design of fixed research is fixed. Because fixed research design, the subjects, timescale, and location are set before data collection begins. Whereas, design of flexible research is not fixed because in a flexible design these aspects may develop through the data collection process. For measuring, testing, and making generalizations, a fixed research design has higher validity and reliability. Whereas, for measuring, testing, and making generalizations, a flexible research design has lower validity and reliability. Experimentation is often fixed research, whereas case studies, ethnographic studies, and grounded theory studies are often flexible research. A researcher wants to test how unlike labels affect consumers' ratings of a sports drink. Participants are given the same drink with many labels at the same time and take a survey about taste and overall impressions. The timing of providing each drink and subsequent surveys are critical to the study's validity in an example of fixed research. Whereas, a physician uses a case study methodology to follow a patient through symptoms, treatment, and recovery is an example of flexible research. Cross-sectional research versus longitudinal research. Cross-sectional research or synchronous research studies a group or subgroup at one point in time. Participants are generally chosen based on specific shared features, such as age, gender, or income, and researchers examine the similarities and differences within and between groups. The group is often used as a representation of a larger population, whereas longitudinal research focuses on how certain measurements change over time without manipulating any determining variables. Longitudinal research requires a researcher to revisit participants of the study at proper intervals. The purpose of cross-sectional research is to provide information on one population for one or more, whereas the purpose of longitudinal research is to assess not just what the data reveal at a fixed point in time, but to understand how and why things change over time. Synonym of cross-sectional research is cross-sectional study, whereas synonym of longitudinal research is longitudinal study. Cross-sectional research is conducted with different samples, whereas longitudinal study is conducted with same sample over the years. Cross-sectional research is type of descriptive research or observational research, whereas longitudinal research is type of correlational research. Cross-sectional research can be conducted through survey, interviews, and medical records, whereas longitudinal research can be conducted through cohort studies, panel studies, and trend study. Cross-sectional research main focus is not on cause and effect relationship between variables, whereas longitudinal research main focus is on cause and effect relationship between variables. One point in time is used in cross-sectional research, whereas several points in time are used in longitudinal research. There is different sample in cross-sectional research, whereas there is same sample in longitudinal research. Snapshot of a given point in time change at social level in cross-sectional research, whereas change at individual level in longitudinal research. Cross-sectional research is not expensive and do not take lot of time, whereas longitudinal research is expensive and take lot of time. British Social Attitude Survey and Labour Force Survey are example of cross-sectional research, whereas British Birth Cohort Studies and Understanding Society are example of longitudinal research. In cross-sectional research, a company researches the sales techniques of its top 10% of salespeople and compares them to those of its bottom 10%. This gives the company insights into the most successful and least successful sales methods. Whereas, in longitudinal research, a researcher examines if and how employee satisfaction changes in the same employees after 1 year, 3 years and 5 years with the same company. In short, cross-sectional research is type of observational research that involves collecting data from many different individuals at a specific point of time, whereas longitudinal research involves repeatedly examining the same subjects to detect changes that may occur over a period of time. Causal research versus correlational research. Causal research, also called as explanatory research, seeks to determine cause and effect relationships between variables by identifying how much one variable may cause a change in other variable. Whereas, correlational research is a type of non-experimental research method in which a researcher measures two variables, understands and assesses statistical linkage between them with no influence from any extraneous variable. The purpose of causal research is to give proof that a particular relationship exists, whereas the purpose of correlational research is carried out to measure two variables. In causation research, causation occurs when a change in one variable can cause another, whereas correlational research is mathematical in nature. It uses correlation coefficient to statistically measure both strength and direction of the linear relationship between two variables. Causal research or conclusive research is used to determine the cause of particular behavior, Whereas, correlational research is used to explore the extent to which two variables in a study are related. Causal research is important for evaluating current processes and procedures and determining if and how changes should take place. Whereas, correlation research is important because it provides insights into complex real-world relationships, helping researchers develop theories and make predictions. Synonyms of causal research are explanatory research or experimental research, whereas synonyms of correlation research are correlational study or non-experimental research. In causal research, there is need of controlled experiment, whereas, in correlation research, no need of controlled experiment. In causal research, the term causation is necessary correlation, whereas, in correlation research, the term correlation is not necessary causation. In causation research, there is no statistical concept because it's based on theoretical concept. Whereas, in correlation research is based on statistical concept term as correlation coefficient. In causal research, researchers have firm control over variables to obtain results. Whereas, correlational research allows researchers to collect much more data than experiments. There is manipulation of independent variable in causal research, whereas, there is no manipulation of independent variable in correlational research. There is high degree of control over variables in causal research, whereas, little to no control over variables in correlational research. Causal claims can be made in causal research, whereas, no causal claims can be made in correlational research. Researcher bias in causal research is high risk of bias, whereas, researcher bias in correlational research is low risk of bias. Example 1 of causal research is, smoking has proven to cause lung cancer. Whereas, example 1 of correlation is, many people who smoke can also be addicted of marijuana or drink. Example 2 of causal research is, a business studies employee retention rates before and after instituting a work-from-home policy after 6 months of employment to see if the approach increases employee retention. Whereas, example 2 of correlation is to know if cancer and marriage have any relation or not. Archival research versus historical research. Archival research is the process of researching records that are created and stored by institutions, organizations, and individuals. Whereas, historical research is the process of investigating and studying past events, people, and societies using a variety of sources and methods. The purpose of archival research is to seek out and extracting evidence from archival records. Whereas, the purpose of historical research is to gain a clear understanding of the impact of the past on the present and future events related to life process. Archival research helps us by shed light on the archival data regarding businesses, government, unions and other actors in the employment relationship, and the consequences for workers. Furthermore, archival data can also help us in providing access to respondents and stakeholders that cannot be accessed using primary methods. Whereas, the study of historical events can help leaders make informed decisions that impact society, culture, and the economy by finding the origins, growth, development, impact, use, theories, personalities, crisis, etc., which happened in past. Archival research involves searching for and extracting information and evidence from original archives. Whereas, historical research involves in detailed analysis of what has been written or done and is used to describe, explain and interpret these events. Archives focus on historical, non-current, documents, records and other sources relating to the activities and claims of individuals, entities or both. Whereas, historical research focuses on describing events, people, or cultures in detail. The applicability of archival research is judged by this point that it provides information of interest to research professionals or research archivists across a wide range of fields, that is, journalists, researchers, historians, genealogists, knowledge managers, legal professionals, etc. Whereas, in any field where the study involves its origins, growth, development, impact, use, theories, personalities, crisis, etc., the historical research method is found to be applicable. Field research versus laboratory research. Field research is a method of collecting qualitative data with the aim to understand, observe, and interact with people in their natural setting. Whereas, laboratory research occurs in a controlled laboratory rather than in the field. Often, the study demands strict adherence to certain conditions, such as eliminating variables or timing conditions. The purpose of field study is to observe and interpret the subject of study in its natural environment. Whereas, the purpose of laboratory research is to execute experimental tasks which may aim for new discoveries and advances in science. Field research is research done in natural surroundings and require on-site observation and data collection. Whereas, laboratory research is done in laboratory and requires presence in laboratory for collecting data of anything. Field research is a process where data is collected through a qualitative method. Whereas, laboratory research includes chemical experimentation and pharmacological research. Field research takes place in a natural or real-world setting. Whereas, laboratory research takes place in a controlled and constructed setting. A manufacturing plant hires an environmental engineering firm to test the air quality at the plant to ensure it complies with federal health and safety needs. The researchers travel to the plant to collect samples is an example of field research. Whereas, a pharmaceutical company researches a new drug formula to determine if it would benefit diabetes patients. Researchers closely monitor chemical interactions in laboratory settings before moving to the next step is an example of laboratory research. In short, field research is a methodological approach to observe behavior under natural conditions. Field research occurs wherever the participants or subjects are or on location. Whereas, research carried out in a laboratory for testing chemical substances, growing tissues in cultures, or performing microbiological, biochemical, hematological, microscopical, immunological, parasitological tests, etc. Classification research versus comparative research. Classification research is concerned with describing the features of a particular individual or group, whereas comparative research is a research methodology in the social sciences exemplified in cross-cultural or comparative studies. The purpose of classification research is to identify and classify individual elements of a group into larger groups or subgroups. Whereas, the purpose of comparative research is to make comparisons across different countries or cultures. Classification research helps in making detailed descriptions regarding characteristics of particular individual or group. Whereas, comparative research helps in comparing and contrasting different societies, cultures, or groups to identify similarities and differences. Classification research identifies the traits of any particular individual or group, whereas comparative research identifies similarities and differences between two individuals, subjects, or groups. Example of classification research in which researchers study an animal species, placing them in defined categories based on shared characteristics, such as body segmentation, type of habitat, reproductive methods, diet, etc. Whereas, example of classification research in which a business owner reviews new hire training documentation and discovers that new employees receive much of same information at orientation and in their initial departmental training. The owner incorporates materials into one session to allow more time for department-specific training. Cross-sectional research versus longitudinal research. Cross-sectional research or synchronous research studies a group or subgroup at one point in time. Participants are generally chosen based on specific shared features, such as age, gender, or income, and researchers examine the similarities and differences within and between groups. The group is often used as a representation of a larger population, whereas longitudinal research focuses on how certain measurements change over time without manipulating any determining variables. Longitudinal research requires a researcher to revisit participants of the study at proper intervals. The purpose of cross-sectional research is to provide information on one population for one or more, whereas the purpose of longitudinal research is to assess not just what the data reveal at a fixed point in time, but to understand how and why things change over time. Synonym of cross-sectional research is cross-sectional study, whereas synonym of longitudinal research is longitudinal study. Cross-sectional research is conducted with different samples, whereas longitudinal study is conducted with same sample over the years. Cross-sectional research is type of descriptive research or observational research, whereas longitudinal research is type of correlational research. Cross-sectional research can be conducted through survey, interviews, and medical records, whereas longitudinal research can be conducted through cohort studies, panel studies, and trend study. Cross-sectional research main focus is not on cause and effect relationship between variables, whereas longitudinal research main focus is on cause and effect relationship between variables. One point in time is used in cross-sectional research, whereas several points in time are used in longitudinal research. There is different sample in cross-sectional research, whereas there is same sample in longitudinal research. Snapshot of a given point in time change at social level in cross-sectional research, whereas change at individual level in longitudinal research. Cross-sectional research is not expensive and do not take lot of time, whereas longitudinal research is expensive and take lot of time. British Social Attitude Survey and Labour Force Survey are example of cross-sectional research, whereas British Birth Cohort Studies and Understanding Society are example of longitudinal research. In cross-sectional research, a company researches the sales techniques of its top 10% of salespeople and compares them to those of its bottom 10%. This gives the company insights into the most successful and least successful sales methods. Whereas, in longitudinal research, a researcher examines if and how employee satisfaction changes in the same employees after 1 year, 3 years and 5 years with the same company. In short, cross-sectional research is type of observational research that involves collecting data from many different individuals at a specific point of time, whereas longitudinal research involves repeatedly examining the same subjects to detect changes that may occur over a period of time. Modern research versus traditional research. Modern research utilizes advanced technology for data collection, big data analysis, and faster processing, enabling larger and more comprehensive datasets. Whereas traditional research depended on manual data collection methods, limited sample sizes, and slower data processing. Modern research focuses on interdisciplinary collaboration, bringing together researchers from different disciplines to address complex issues. Whereas traditional research primarily focused on single disciplines, with limited collaboration across fields. Modern research encourages open access and collaboration, with researchers freely sharing their work and data to accelerate discoveries. Whereas traditional research often limited to closed academic circles, with restricted access to research findings and data. Modern research emphasizes research reproducibility, with stricter standards and guidelines to ensure reliable, verifiable results. Whereas traditional research had varying levels of rigor and reproducibility, leading to probable issues with validation. Modern research places increased focus on research related to sustainability, environmental impact, and climate change. Whereas traditional research might not have always had a strong emphasis on sustainability-related issues. Modern research has a more diverse and global reach, with researchers collaborating across borders and cultures, leading to diverse viewpoints. Whereas traditional research generally confined to specific geographic regions or institutions, which can reduce its diverse and global reach. Modern research places a stronger emphasis on ethical considerations, with strict review processes for research involving human subjects or animals. Whereas traditional research had ethical considerations guidelines but might not have had as much scrutiny as modern research. Modern research often aims to have practical, having real-world impact, with a focus on translational research and solutions to address societal challenges. Whereas traditional research focused on theoretical knowledge without always emphasizing practical applications. Modern research benefits from rapid dissemination processes through digital platforms, preprint servers, and social media. Whereas traditional research relied on slower publication processes in physical journals. Modern research incorporates artificial intelligence, AI, and automation for more efficient data processing and analysis. Whereas traditional research limited use of artificial intelligence, AI, and automation in data analysis and experimental design. Academic research versus policy research. Academic research is a process of collecting and analyzing scientific or social data in order to answer a question and focused primarily on making new discoveries for scientific community. Whereas policy research is a process of conducting research on, or analysis of, a fundamental social problem in order to provide policymakers with pragmatic, action-oriented recommendations for alleviating the problem. The fundamental purpose of academic research is to prove a theory and development of knowledge. Whereas the purpose of public policy research is to understand or explain social, political, economic, cultural, and other issues that are significant to society which require the intervention or attention of policy actors. The purpose of health policy research is to understand how policies, regulations, and practices may influence population health, and purpose of research policy of university is to create and support a research culture among its teachers, staff, and students, and leverage it for enriching and enhancing the professional competence of faculty members. Academic research focuses on progress of new knowledge and has relevance based on solving problems that contribute to improvement of society. Whereas policy research focuses on assistance regarding solution of fundamental problems and in the advancement of major programs. Academic research deals with systematic investigation into a problem or situation, where the intention is to identify facts and opinions that will assist in solving the problem or dealing with the situation. Whereas policy research may be descriptive and analytical, and deal with causal processes and explanations. It may evaluate a new or existing policy program, describe examples of best practice, measure social change, develop projections on the basis of large-scale modeling exercises, and consist of large-scale experimental research. Academic research uses formal, scientific and systematic procedures to discover answers, whereas policy research uses research in various ways, including instrumental, conceptual, political, imposed, and process uses. Academic research versus industry research. Academic research is a process of collecting and analyzing scientific or social data in order to answer a question and focused primarily on making new discoveries for scientific community. Whereas industry research is a process of collecting information related to a specific industry and the factors that influence it, such as economic, market, political or financial factors. In academic careers, you have lots of responsibilities such as applying for grants, conducting self-directed research, publishing papers, teaching courses, mentoring students, performing departmental service. Whereas a career in industries mostly focused on applied research. You must be able to develop projects that meet the company goals as you support the business plan of the company. Working in academia is the freedom to dictate your own schedule, choosing when to teach, conduct research, and publish your work. Whereas the majority of industry research focused on a typical 9-to-5 workday. Academics can work without deadlines, take courses and stay with young people to stay current on knowledge. Whereas working in the industry has the advantage of having access to funding and state-of-the-art resources because of the larger organization. The majority of academic research is collaborative and team-based. You are free to decide when and who you want to work. Whereas in industry, researchers are working toward a larger, shared goal. It's critical for researchers to be able to collaborate and work as a team. If few universities specialize in your field or hire each year, then climbing the career ladder can be challenging. Whereas industry career opportunities are broader. Academia is highly research and discovery focused, and much research is done for the sake of learning. Whereas the works in industry are typically more deadline-driven as teams work to the business-focused problem. Academics in the USA, including postdocs, typically earn $50,000 to $110,456 per year, whereas industry scientists earn more than academics, typically earn $74,587 to $154,263 per year. Market research versus marketing research. Market research investigates and analyzes a target market. Researchers use market research to collect consumer data within a marketplace. It deals with the collection, analysis, and use of market intelligence and market statistics. Market research deals with only one of marketing's 4 P/s: place. Whereas marketing research is the process of defining a marketing problem or opportunity, systematically collecting and analyzing information, and recommending actions to improve an organization's marketing activities. Marketing research is a much broader concept than market research and deals with marketing's 4 P/s: product, price, place, and promotion. The areas that marketing research looks at: new product research, customer research, public relations, existing product development, distribution methods, sales, advertising research, pricing, etc. Market research focus on to study buyer behavior in the market and the marketplace as a whole, whereas marketing research focus on to study systematically all the phases of a business's marketing activities. Market research is the study of customers and the market, whereas marketing research is the study of all aspects of marketing. Dependency of market research is reliant, whereas dependency of marketing research is autonomous. Market research just involves in gathering market information, whereas marketing research has a much broader reach since it involves doing product research and customer preferences. Market research investigates the market success of a product or service, whereas marketing research collects data for marketing intelligence activities and decision-making. Market research is emphasized on answering particular questions, whereas marketing research is more general and utilized to solve various marketing challenges. Purpose of market research is to study the success of a product or service in the market, whereas purpose of marketing research is to gather data for marketing intelligence activities decision-making. Nurtures. Market research nurtures marketing research, whereas marketing research nurtures the entire marketing information system of the business. Research scope of market research is limited, only studies the market and its consumer behavior, whereas research scope of marketing research is wide, studies the whole marketing process, marketing's 4 seconds, and the whole market itself. The market research is specific to answering specific questions, whereas the marketing research is more generic and is used to solve a host of marketing problems. Process of market research includes 7 steps such as number 1 step is identify issue. Number 2 step is choose the research team, internal or external research experts. Number 3 step is choose the most fitting technique and approach. Number 4 step is gather data. Number 5 step is organize, analyze and interpret data. Number 6 step is create reports, and number 7 step is to make data-based decisions. Whereas process of marketing research includes 7 steps such as number 1 step is to identify the issue, examine options, and set the objectives of the research. Number 2 step is to create a research program. Number 3 step is to collect research information. Number 4 step is to collect audience data. Number 5 step is to organize and analyze data. Number 6 step is to display findings. And number 7 step is to make data-based decisions. Number 1 similarity is both are important to the success of a business. Number 2 similarity is both types of research generate useful data. Number 3 similarity is surveys, focus groups, questionnaires, and interviews are examples of quantitative and qualitative tools and approaches that may be used to acquire information. And number 4 similarity is effective for making judgments on the type and quality of items and services given to clients, appropriate company sites, the best advertising, and the most efficient distribution methods and networks. Business research versus management research. Business research involves establishing objectives and gathering relevant information to obtain the answer to a business issue by conducting market research, product research, or customer research. Whereas, management research is the study of management practices and theories. Business research focuses on issues related to the overall business environment, whereas management research focuses on issues related to the management and administration of a business and developing theoretical frameworks and practical solutions for management challenges. The objective of business research is used to improve business performance, whereas the objective of management research is used to improve managerial performance. Business research employs a wide range of research methods such as surveys, case studies, experiments, and statistical analysis. Whereas, management research employs research methods such as case studies, observation, and surveys, and may use statistical analysis. Generally, business research has a broader scope and may include macro-level analysis of the industry or market. Whereas, generally management research has a narrower scope and focuses on the management of specific departments or functions. Business research used to inform business strategy, marketing, and product development decisions. Whereas, management research used to inform management decisions related to operation, human resources, finance, and other areas of business. Business research is used increasingly by organizational managers who want to know what strategies and tactics capture the highest return. Whereas, management research can be used to inform decision-making, improve organizational performance, and develop best practices for management by academics. Business research may involve participants from various levels of the organization and external stakeholders such as customers or suppliers. Whereas, management research involves participants who are managers, executives, or other decision-makers within the organization. Outputs of business research may include reports, white papers, and academic publications. Whereas, outputs of management research may include reports, presentations, and recommendations for managerial action. Business research is important for companies to stay competitive and adapt to changes in the business environment. Whereas, management research is important for managers to make informed decisions that support the organization's goals and objectives. The example of business research are market research, product research, customer research, consumer behavior studies, and competitive analysis. Whereas, the example of management research are leadership studies, organizational behavior research, and performance management studies. Social research versus social work research. Social research is more generic and studies the changing social trends, functioning of society, culture, social institutions, etc. Whereas, social work research deals with the issues and problems that social workers confront in their practice. Social research seeks to gain a better understanding of human behavior and social phenomena. Whereas, social work research seeks to use this knowledge to develop interventions and programs that can address social problems and promote social justice. The objective of social research is to accumulate knowledge and understanding of social life. Whereas, the objective of social work research is to obtain useful knowledge in order to plan and implement social programs. Social research is focused on understanding human behavior and society, whereas social work research is focused on addressing social problems and promoting social justice. Social research seeks to understand phenomena such as culture, social norms, and socialization. Whereas, social work research, on the other hand, seeks to address social problems such as poverty, inequality, and discrimination. Social research are guided only by ethical principles, whereas social work research are guided by ethical principles and a greater emphasis on ethical considerations such as informed consent, confidentiality, and respect for participants' rights. This is because social work research often involves vulnerable populations who may be at risk of harm if ethical guidelines are not followed. The applicability of social science research is judged by this point that it is often used to inform policy and practice in a wide range of fields, including economics, political science, and psychology. Whereas, The applicability of social work research is judged by this point that it is focused on improving the lives of individuals and communities, and is often used to develop interventions and programs that can address specific social problems. Social research deals with large groups of peoples, whereas social work research deals with individuals. Social research focused both on quantitative and qualitative methods for conducting research, whereas social work research often uses qualitative methods such as interviews and focus groups to gather information about the experiences and perspectives of individuals and communities. Social research is a research conducted by social scientists following a systematic plan, whereas social work research may be conducted by social workers to know the problems faced by professional social workers in social work agencies and communities in its concern with social work functions. Social research is done in all the social sciences such as psychology, sociology, and criminology. Social work research, however, narrows the field to social work specifically, whereas social work research is only done by investigating the theory and practice of social work in social research work field. In short, social science research is the activity of gathering, analyzing, and interpreting information for a variety of social, economic, educational, and political purposes. Thus, social research is concerned with any aspect of social life, whereas social work research begins with social problems. Kindly subscribe my YouTube channel Thesis Helper. Thanks for watching.